So the last video, they were sort of talking about the majority of it was story related, right? And it was like, there's a lot on story here. And it's funny because it's a game, but it shows how many people are into these games for the story, you know? But I want to see gameplay stuff. This game is getting a lot of crazy traversal and stuff like that. I see somebody in the chat that literally is working on the game saying they're actually playing the game right now because of course you are, Gilly. Hi, how's it going? Let's check this out. I'm very curious.
From
Sick.
a combat perspective, I always, and I still feel like the meat and potatoes of any God of War game is combat.
Ow. Ouch. You know what this is going to be like? I'm already calling it right now, and it might have been an influence on the game design aspect of it. I'm calling that God of War Ragnarok is going to be the Doom Eternal to Doom 2016. Right? In terms of gameplay elevation, I'd imagine after this game, it's going to feel difficult to go back to Doom 2016 after you play something like Doom Eternal. And it's like, geez, man, like I can't even imagine going back to the slow ass old game, you know? And even Doom Eternal has a lot of other things that you might like more about 2016, but gameplay, it's absolutely without a doubt significantly better in Doom Eternal. I'd imagine it's going to be like that.
My name is Roberto Clemente. All my friends call me Bert. I'm a senior combat animator here at Sony Santa Monica.
My name is Kim Wynn, and I'm a gameplay animator.
Hi, I'm Sabra, and I'm a senior VFX artist on God of War Ragnarok.
My name is Grace Pan, and I'm a gameplay animator in God of War Ragnarok.
Hi, I'm Stephen O'Hara, GBA, combat designer on God of War. And I create interesting and memorable creatures that players like to attack and defend against.
As an animator, you gave life to characters. You make them move, you gave them personalities, you gave them weight.
My role as a VFX artist is to
Can't believe worked on Ori and the Blind Forest. Really?
You are in control of fire and earth and water and wind. Whether you are throwing your axe or on the receiving end of an enemy spell, VFX is what really gives the movement and the danger to every move that a character or enemy makes.
I work really closely with the design team and the tech art team on this project specifically. We actually work a lot with camera, along with the guidance of our great camera team, so I find myself doing fight choreography sometimes.
It's funny, this way of making games pretty much like this design philosophy of like get everyone in a digital room, everyone doing digital actions, just pretty much run the whole scene with each other. Like this kind of started with what? Avatar? Didn't Jim Cameron technically like create this style of filmmaking where they essentially produce like the digital sets? It's like movie shit, yeah, and then it just carried straight over into video games and everything like that.
So I find myself doing fight choreography sometimes.
One of the most challenging parts about being a combat designer isn't the technical implementation of creating a creature, but it's really navigating that line between frustrating and engaging. We want to make something that makes players
this looks
move
great.
forward and focus and really try hard.
Look at that big creepy lizard.
And feel good about overcoming that, but we don't want to make them feel defeated if they can't figure
Thank you,
something out.
Stealthy.
And then it feels rewarding when you win, not because it was impossible, but because it was fun and engaging.
After the last game, we've heard the community cry out for more mini-bosses, bigger creatures, and enemy variety, and this time we really leaned into that. So in God of War Ragnarok, you're going to be traveling to all 9 realms, and each...
I mean, that makes sense because in the first game, right, you're figuring out systems, and it happened with Resident Evil 7 as well, right, where they had to essentially redesign the way the whole game works, and we're like, okay, you know, we have our foundation enemies, right? The fundamental enemies that sort of got put here, another troll, right? In this area, that kind of stuff. The difference between a follow-up game like an RE8 or even a Doom Eternal or a God of War Ragnarok, right, is that your foundation is already there. The foundation that took you forever to figure out how the hell does this shit work, like even FF7 Remake going into FF7 Rebirth, that kind of shit. All your systems are in place. Now we just have to improve those systems, make them work better, improve the things that we couldn't before, and now add the things that didn't exist before that we can sort of put in there now because everything's figured out. That's a big deal when it comes to sequels, right? Where we don't have to reinvent the wheel anymore. We can just essentially make the wheel bigger.
Each realm is going to have like its own theme of enemies that are very unique to that space. For example, in Alfheim, we're familiar with the Dark Elves, but this time around we're going to be fighting Light Elves, such as the Light Elf Warrior. One of the key learnings from the last God of War game is we don't have to think about the camera and how close combat is going to feel. We already have that knowledge, so we can build upon the close camera that we have.
That's exactly what I'm saying. We like, it's like they didn't really know if people were gonna dig this shit, right? They didn't really know if this over-the-shoulder camera thing was going to work out for a God of War gameplay style. They had a pretty good idea because they obviously committed to the idea of changing God of War. Now that they know it works, right? Now that they have the sales to back it up, now that they have like everything that is lining up, that okay, yeah. So how do we make it better? And that's what I'm excited for.
Creating more interesting scenarios. In the last game, Atreus was just starting to fight alongside Kratos, and he was learning from the master tactician. So in this game, he's trying to prove himself a little bit more, and we built upon those mechanics with him.
The previous God of War, Atreus was still a kid, right? So he has a lot of dependency on his father. And for this game, you will see Atreus moving more independently on his own as a companion.
In regards to VFX for Kratos, I think what the players really love is the
there's definitely no PC version at launch.
When you are
definitely
playing
not.
as Kratos, you really do feel
it's
like
a PlayStation console exclusive. They need you to buy a PS5, yeah.
Ragnarok, we want to
or
really
a PS4.
make something bigger, make it stronger, make it more of a spectacle. You want them to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that the Blades of Chaos could get even better, but look at that.
So as Kratos gets more powerful, he's going to have access to newer combos.
So they didn't have this before, right? Am I drunk? It's been a couple of years.
Kratos gets more powerful, he's going to have
Kratos didn't have get over here, did he? Like being able to pull like small to mid-sized enemies yoinking across the map. Did he had something like that, right? Yeah, he did. But it came, I think it came like later in the game. I don't know. I remember there being some sort of functionality, but maybe not like this.
And
it was like a sorta, yeah.
Increase the combat depth of each weapon. For the blades, one of the moves that I've really enjoyed from previous God of Wars is the combat grapple, and we're going to be bringing that with a new twist.
Yeah, you like can.
I'm very excited for players to.
You could
try
zoom
the
in, I think, before, right?
Traversal moves that brings so much more speed into the movement and the dynamic feel to it.
One of the ways we've expanded Kratos combat this time around is we've given more utility and choice to the shield loadout.
If you are a parry person, you could really go for a shield that gears towards parrying. If you're a big blocker, then you could choose a shield that will really match your playstyle.
One new mechanic or element that I'm really excited about is these combo finishers. Building up the stun meter this time around is going to lead to different ways to basically decapitate the enemy. You're going to be
this is the same shit that I was talking about.
Is going to lead
where
to different ways to
right. If there was to be a Bloodborne remake in some way, like this is the visceral attack thing, right? Where how do you make like Bloodborne better? And in the same way, like how would the God of War guys make God of War 1 better? Well, you make it so that there's unique kill animations for like every kind of weapon. You make there be actual like a bunch of different ways to off an enemy fatality wise, right? And it was the same thing we were saying about viscerals, because viscerals are just like a hand in your chest no matter what you're carrying in your hand. It'd be so much better if each weapon had a different unique visceral attack in something like, you know, Bloodborne. And that's like one of the best things, one of the easiest things you can improve upon, you know?
Basically decapitate the enemy.
Yeah, glory kills got a lot better in Doom Eternal, shit like that.
You want to have when you kill a guy. Another feature that we've added for Kratos is his new pre-fall attacks. You could jump off a ledge, and if there's an enemy below you, you could slam down on him.
This shit looked badass. This looks like kind of a technical nightmare too. This right here, hold on.
Another feature that we've added for
This looks like a technical nightmare to me.
Kratos is
Doink.
his new pre-fall attacks.
And like it's like the axe has this extra little hang time. We gave him a Kuma third strike ground pound.
So you could jump off a ledge, and if there's an enemy below you, you could slam down on him.
Yeah. Good call. Good call. Shoosh.
There's such an emphasis on verticality in some of these fights that it's super engaging. And as Kratos, now that you have
God damn. Okay. All right.
an emphasis
Y'all
on
are doing a
verticality
very
in
good
some of these
job
fights,
here.
that it's
The momentum in this shit.
super engaging. And as Kratos, now
Oh my God. Damn,
there's
boy.
such an emphasis on
Goddamn,
verticality
boy.
in some of these fights that it's super engaging. And as Kratos, now that
Holy
you have
shit,
so much
that's so
mobility
good.
and that you can also take advantage of that verticality, I think it just adds such another interesting layer to a fight.
Yeah, Kratos becoming a
In God of War
Zoop Lord
Ragnarok,
is like
we've
the best
enhanced
idea.
The Kratos and Atreus duo. He's going to initiate a little bit more, be aggressive. He's going to fight alongside you, and sometimes even surprise you with his combo abilities too.
Some of the new expanded
You can throw
companion
dudes into the
actions that
boy?
You'll see Atreus do leverage the fact that he's older now, he's bigger now, and he's different from Kratos, so his magic has a different flavor.
Not only that they fight side by side together, there are also a lot of mini games and player interaction moments. For example, like the puzzle systems and the set pieces. You definitely will see a lot more collaborations between father and son.
That was one of the things that I really liked about Guardians of the Galaxy too, was all the set piece puzzles and stuff where you had like all four characters solving environmental puzzles with each other. I thought it was great. I'm like, this is actually super sick.
There's so much that goes into building a big set piece. You basically iterate and iterate and iterate, and it takes testing and just seeing what works to really figure out the personality of something. Basically, every department gives it their all to make things really spectacular. There were a lot of different times that I would look back at God of War games just through the ages. Before 2018, there were so many amazing, huge boss fights and set pieces.
Dude, yeah, if I can think of like one of the greatest set piece games that was like, holy shit, what am I looking at? God of War 3 has some of the most insane set pieces, like on terms like of large scale, like bigger than life kind of shit. I remember I could not believe a video game could look as good as God of War 3 and even perform as good as it, because I think it ran at a pretty good frame rate too. It was a long time ago that we played this one, but I'll never forget like climbing all that crazy shit and seeing stuff like this. It was
a
truly
huge inspiration
spectacular.
for me on my time on this project.
For the old father!
Our design philosophy for creating new and memorable enemies is basically making them a combat puzzle, similar to like chess, and focusing on the chess pieces. Each piece
Combat
has
puzzle, he
its
said
own
it.
theme and its own use.
You need to be able to see what's happening in an instant and be able to react as the player.
There's a couple of different ways that we go into making an attack very readable for the player. Sometimes we add a signature audio cue, or we'll add the different rings, such as what we did in the last game, that lets you know that this attack is unblockable, you need to dodge it.
There's so many different ways that the effects really helps not just show what an enemy is about to do, but show who the enemy really is.
Everything you design has to be surrounding the essence of the character and a story. It's what makes it believable and memorable in the first place.
I think what I'm most excited about is for players to experience the diversity of enemies that this game has to offer. You will be fighting everything from small little creatures to things that will take up the entire screen.
All of their designs run the gamut. I think each one looks so much different from the next one.
Damn.
And each of them have their own play styles.
This shit is looking
their
crazy.
Own little fantasies that go into it. And so I think if you are really into Norse mythology, you'll be very interested to see how Sony Santa Monica has taken some of these creatures and interpreted them for God of War.
Everything that goes into the game, there's emotion behind it and intent behind it, and by the time it gets to you, everything that you've seen that you're going to play and experience has been sweated over, bled over, tested, and is fun to play.
Jesus, cut the top part of that guy in half. Damn. God damn. This game looks kind of fun, right? This game's looking pretty good. It looks pretty good. I'm not too worried about this game being bad, right? There's very little. It looks pretty good, kinda, yeah. It looks okay. They're announcing like implementing several different modes of playability. So you can do like 4K, like locked 4K 30 on PlayStation. There's also a 60 FPS mode, which probably is a checkerboard 4K resolution, something like that. But then there was also like, I think there was a high frame rate mode too, where they're actually putting in 120 FPS, which is also most likely checkerboard. Oh, it's 1080p 120. That's really cool. The fact that there are that many options, chat, is the way it is because of the previous generation. Previous gen is kind of allowing them to sort of teeter around this variety of frame rate, variety of resolution, because they have to essentially make it compatible for older systems like a base PS4, which I think is what it's also coming out on. Yeah, it's dynamic resolution checkerboard 120. That makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. So it's not always the resolution changes to accommodate the frame rate is what that essentially means from my basic understanding. But either way, that's good because more ways to play the game, the better. And that's true. A lot of Sony first party games usually get a lot of options. The nice thing is that this just eventually means the PC version eventually is going to be, even better. Let's just hope Bloodborne gets a PC version before God of War Ragnarok, a brand new PS5 game.